Now, what has happened with the End Bad Governance protest is that the monster that has been breeding has turned back to haunt them. And the people like Shettima, they are no longer protesting against a Goodluck Jonathan. They are now protesting against their own political party, against their own political interest, and they are beginning to shout that who underdeveloped the North? The first prime minister we had, in fact, the first and only prime minister we had in this country, hailed from Bauchi. After that, after the counter coup of July 29, 1966, we had Gowon. After Gowon, we had Murtala Mohammed.
Hello everyone, welcome back and thank you so much for stopping by. So my people, before you watch this particular video in full from Mr. Amachi, what he said concerning the statement Shettima made that North is undeveloped, that Tinubu government need to do something about it. Like, this is so laughable because Shettima is now protesting against his own government. Like, come to think of it, like, who kept North undeveloped, my people? Who kept North undeveloped? This is what Dele Farotumi said, that three major things these our so-called politicians are using to hold Nigeria's hostage are ignorance, division, and religion. And that ignorance is exactly what these politicians in the North are using to hold their people hostage. Like, this End Bad Governance really taught us a lot of things, especially what is happening in the North. I remember one of the APC members from the North who had a debate with Kenneth Okonkwo. This man said that the people that protested, especially those ones that hold Russia flag, that they are not Nigerians. And this is exactly what they are doing during the election. Some of the people that normally vote in the North, they are not Nigerians. A lot of things are happening, my people, in this country called Nigeria. But this particular one, that Northern leaders are complaining now that North is undeveloped. My people, who to blame? Knowing fully well that Northerners are always in the corridor of power. Like, if there is any part of Nigeria, any region that's supposed to be complaining now, it's Southeast, my people. Everyone knows very well that Igbos have been marginalized in Nigeria. So I don't know why these Northerners are complaining that North is undeveloped. Like, this is so shameful, honestly. Does it mean that Buhari is unaware that North is undeveloped, my people? So now it's Tinubu that's going to develop North. Wonder shall never end. So my people, let me allow you guys to watch that particular video in full and hear everything Mr. Amachi said here. And also, he said something about what is happening in the River State, all the brouhaha, as well as ego war that is happening there. And before then, please, if today is your first time here, don't forget to subscribe for more updates. For more updates, like this video, share it as well. So my people, let's go ahead and watch the video.
When you say you've rolled out 30 CNG buses in Abuja, and each of those buses will convey 100 people in a day, it means you're talking about 3,000 people in a day. How does that solve the hardship that everybody is complaining about? How does that make life much more bearable for the people? I think the government is majoring in minor issues that do not address the hunger, the poverty that came about as a result of the policies they deliberately embarked upon. So the Calibishos are talking, and of course they have not said anything that other people have not said. Multi-dimensional poverty. Over 60% of Nigerians are multi-dimensionally poor. And that is unacceptable. Look, we continue saying this every day. The primary responsibility of the government is the welfare of the citizenry, security of life and property of the citizenry. This government has failed woefully. It bears restating that this government has not lived up to expectations. And People say give them more time. Well, but we are assessing the last 14, 15 months of the Tinubu presidency, and there is nothing. There is no index of human development that has gone north. All of them have gone south in the last 14 months. Mention every index of human development that you can think of. They have all gone south. So let's wait and see. And there is nothing that is out there that the government is doing that seems to suggest that it's going to get any better today and tomorrow. And this excuse of things were terribly bad. Didn't you know that things were bad?
Of course they knew. And when they talk about, give them time, I always like to remind everyone that what time is long enough for Nigerians to then accept that, okay, we're not going anywhere. And it's always a reminder that Nigerians don't have 3 years to just give you to, do trial and error. Nobody has 4 years of their lives to just hand over to you, to play around with, and then after the 4 years, we then say, oh, true, these people didn't really get it right. And that's why when people point it out in the first 14 or the first 15 months, don't tell them that they're silly or they don't know what they're saying. It's because many Nigerians have realized that for decades, they've been giving people time. Nobody has time anymore to just hand over to anybody to play with their future.
Also, don't forget, the immediate past president, Muhammadu Buhari, also
asked for time.
Went on the same trajectory. The 16 years of PDP ruined this country, and therefore we needed more time. And there we are, 8 years after. They ruined totally everything that even their successors, who are members of the same political party, are now saying that the guy destroyed Nigeria. So, and Tinubu has come in now and is asking for more time. To paraphrase you, how much more time can we afford as Nigerians to give to a bumbling government, as it were? Look, see, how can you sacrifice 4 years of your time for a government that seems not to have a clue as to how to make things better? We sacrificed 8 years under Buhari, and people are saying that it is only normal, acceptable, that we should also sacrifice another 4 years under Tinubu, and perhaps another 8 years, making 16 years of trial and error.
Yeah.
The policies you've come up with are not working. It is as simple as that. If you like, bring 1 million CNG boxes. They are not going to make anything better. Because, okay, how many people are even privileged to go on those CNG buses in a day? You and I that have our personal cars, that will have to go to the filling station, that will fill the fuel tank every day.
Yeah.
I was home over the weekend. I traveled to Imo State, and the least you could buy a liter of petrol was 870 naira. To travel from Owerri to Mbise, that is less than 1 hour, and come back to Owerri, I was spending almost 25,000 naira. It is not sustainable. I don't know how else to put it. It is not sustainable. What Tinubu is doing is not sustainable. Can we go back to the status quo and look at these things once again?
They've said that the core problem is the price in fuel, that once fuel has returned or reverses back to what it used to be, automatically it will affect every other thing. But let me just quickly bring this forth as well. We talked about the bishops earlier, and the reason why I initially brought that one up was because you did have the charismatic bishops who visited the president before the protest and said they were not going to join the protest, that he's doing very well. Yes, I remember we had that here on News Central as well in the news.
There's a story here that I thought was very interesting, and I very likely would use it for a monologue maybe tomorrow or next. Shettima blames underdevelopment in the north on leadership. Kashim Shettima was governor of Borno State from 2011 to 2019.
For 8 years.
Great. For those of them who may not have been hearing the name for the first time. But he blames underdevelopment in the north on leadership.
And he's correct, he's right. Except that he also has to add himself to the list of leaders from the north that have refused to lift their people up. Look, the problem, not only in the north, the problem of Nigeria, as Chinua Achebe said in his book, is simple leadership failure. And Shettima was, actually it was under Shettima that Boko Haram blossomed in the north. Yes, it didn't start with him. It started with Ali Modu Sheriff. But under Shettima, the Chibok girls were adopted. And he was warned. There was a security decision that students in schools should not be allowed, particularly in remote areas. He didn't heed that call. So there is leadership failure in the north. If we are talking about multi-dimensional poverty in Nigeria, 70% is in the north. If you are talking about out-of-school children in Nigeria, almost 80% in the north. So everything we are pointing at that has gone wrong with Nigeria has more to do with the north. And what are they doing? What are they doing? And don't forget that since Nigeria had independence, we've had more rulers from the north.
Just wanted to quickly throw in, as we talk about, the north, if you remember during the End Bad Governance protest, one of the fears that they continued to push out was, once, the north breaks down in law and order, it's uncontrollable, and people need to be careful, so that the north doesn't completely, get disrupted. And in my head, I kept thinking, that the reason that you have those number of jobless people running around, and possibly going to cause complete anarchy, is because you've kept them unemployed. It's because you have the largest number of unemployed people and the largest number of children on the streets in that region. If you didn't have that as the status quo, as we said this morning, then you maybe wouldn't have those fears.
Leaders from the north have, over the years, inexplicably dehumanized their own people, made them poorer, refused to educate them. And the result we have is the phenomenon of Amaji all over the place. Uneducated, illiterate people who are there. And before now, they have always served a purpose, serving as the foot soldiers of the political leaders to cause mayhem when they need them. Whereas these political leaders are all educating their children in the best universities all over the world, but they have refused to invest in education. They have refused to empower these people economically, socially. The result is that, look, when you create these social problems, somewhere along the line, it turns back to haunt you. So now, what has happened with the End Bad Governance protest is that the monster that has been breeding has turned back to hunt them. And the people like Shettima, they are no longer protesting against a Goodluck Jonathan. They are now protesting against their own political party, against their own political interest, and they are beginning to shout that who underdeveloped the North? The first prime minister we had, in fact, the first and only prime minister we had in this country, hailed from Bauchi. After that, after the counter coup of July 29, 1966, we had Gowon. After Gowon, we had Murtala Mohammed. Then Obasanjo came in. After Obasanjo, we had Shehu Shagari from the same north, Sokoto. After Shehu Shagari, we had Muhammadu Buhari from Katsina. After Muhammadu Buhari, we had Ibrahim Babangida from Niger. After Babangida, we had Abacha from Kano. After Abacha, we had Abdul Salami from Niger. And then we had election. Obasanjo came in. After Obasanjo, we had Yar'Adua. After Yar'Adua died, we had Goodluck Jonathan. After Goodluck Jonathan, we had Muhammad Buhari. So in the how many years of Nigeria's independence, the North had held sway over 60% of the time. So if and look, allocations are made through local governments and all that. Kano State alone has 44 local governments. It then means that Kano gets much more allocation than almost the whole of the Southeast put together. Between Kano and Jigawa, they have, that used to be one state, they have as much more local governments as any other place. The Northwest is the only zone that has 7 states. Southeast has only 5.
Yeah.
So, what are we talking about? They have the bulk of the money coming to them in terms of federally allocated revenue.
Yeah.
And what are they doing with it? Why can't they educate their people? So, Vice President Shettima is coming to the table late, but it is good that they are beginning to realize that they have pauperized their people themselves, and they don't have anybody to blame for what has happened to them. Will they make amends? We'll wait and see. But if they don't, this monster may consume them at the end of the day.
Yeah. And just to also you put it in perspective, even in times when there was a southern president, there was always a northern born vice president. So they've always had some level of representation, even in Nassau Rock, all the while. The strong points that you made, really, of course, should not be forgotten, is the part where you said the monsters that they've been breeding, would eventually come back. And it's the scary part. And that's why I pointed out the End Bad Governance protest. The only reason that they were worried, and people were pointing out Northern Nigeria and seeing the numbers that were rising from Northern Nigeria, is because they understand that is a ticking time bomb, even worse than most of the parts of the country in the South. The ticking time bomb really is the number of uneducated and unemployed people that you have in those parts of the country.
Also, it can only get worse. We're talking about hunger in the South. Go to the North and see hunger. The poverty in the North is hydra-headed. You have hope that where things may be better, that makes things a little easier to manage. When somebody has no hope and has no skill and is not equipped with what it takes to navigate this very difficult terrain, it becomes much more difficult. So what happened in Kano, what happened in Kaduna, what happened in Katsina is only symptomatic of the level of poverty, the very abject debt that those guys are plumbing in terms of lack of education, lack of skills, and lack of the resources to live as human beings. They have been reduced to subhuman level, and the reaction you are seeing, which manifested in the end bad governance protest, and which will continue, because there's nothing that is being done today to mitigate that problem. It can only get worse.
All right. Police cordoned off Rivers APP Secretariat after explosives attack. We saw that happen yesterday. The APP Secretariat was attacked yesterday. They said it was attacked with explosives, and many have said that this is as a result that of the fact that the Rivers governor, Siminalayi Fubara, is in quotes allegedly moving to the APP.
I just hope and pray that politicians don't set Rivers State ablaze, because it doesn't make sense. The crisis we've had in Rivers since May 29, 2023 are unnecessary. And that is because some people think they are gods that must be obeyed. What is going on in Rivers is simply a go war, and people are prepared to go to ridiculous extent in order to assert their hegemony, in order to claim that they are the godfathers of Rivers State. I just hope and pray that they don't set that state ablaze. Okay, if you go, I don't know the reason. It is speculation that Fubara wants to join APP. I don't know why he would want to join the APP in the first place. But assuming, without considering that that is true, why bomb the secretariat?
It doesn't add up.
How does that not stop him from joining APP if indeed he wants to join the APP? Don't forget, yesterday or 2 days ago, yesterday, the courts also ruled that Okocha, who has been the interim chairman of APC, has no locus. And therefore, they went back to Emeka Beke, whose tenure, 4 years tenure, as the Rivers State APC chairman, still subsists. All these things revolve around just one man who is creating confusion in Rivers. How can you, a state you govern for 8 years, how can you make it lawless, ungovernable? Are you considering the impact of this nasty politics on the welfare and well-being of the people of Rivers State? Are you ever giving any thought to the fact that the people of Rivers State also need good governance, and that good governance cannot come in an atmosphere of chaos that we have created in Rivers State? So I don't know what it is that they want. The police, if you ask me, has not been neutral in all this. I wish and hope that we will have a Nigerian police that could win itself from the influence of political actors and godfathers and do what is right for the people and for the country.
right.
All right, brilliant. Gichukwu Amachi, as always, thank you very much for joining us and for very, very brilliant thoughts on these issues across the country.
Welcome to Chamrasi News TV.